Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Airsoft Taiwan. I'm Chris again, and today we're going to introduce a product to you. It's a Robinson licensed product to VFC, and that's the new XCR. Now this weapon is an AEG and it's very, very realistic. If you like realistic parts, it comes with your XCR logo and your Robinson Armament logo, both clearly stamped into the lower receivers. Also, to make this weapon look very realistic, you have your rear and front sights, your gas cylinder tuner, and your flash suppressor as well. Now let's start with the left-hand side of this weapon. We have our selector over here. It will rotate 90 degrees. We'll start at safety position, semi-auto, and full auto. Put it back to safe, just be careful. Also on the left-hand side of the weapon we have our charge handle up here and our charge handle release. Now on this weapon, it's right-hand user-friendly again. The only thing on this weapon that's ambidextrous is the charge handle release right here. If you cock the charging handle, pull it back, you will open up the ejection port on the right-hand side of the weapon. We'll get back to that in a couple seconds. But cocking it here, it will lock into place. Now here at Airsoft Taiwan, what we prefer to do is slide our charge handle forward before using the bolt release. The reason for this is just to keep the internals working a bit longer, reduce the wear and tear on the inside of the weapon. Okay. Also, let's move over to the right-hand side of the weapon. As I mentioned just a couple seconds ago, our ejection port here, which is usually used for loading a weapon or clearing jams, here with this weapon, it's used to adjust your hop up. Again, slide the charge forward and we'll release it. Our magazine release, located just above the trigger on the right-hand side. And finally, at the rear of our weapon, we have our stock release. And this will allow us to fold our stock into the right-hand side of the weapon for close quarter combat. And away we go. At this point, we'd like to show you how to disassemble this weapon. It's very, very simple. The locking pin is at the very front of the lower receiver. On the left-hand side, you give it a little push, and you can pull it out very simply. Now, when you slide the upper receiver forward, you want to be careful because your battery inside is very close to the back end of the receiver, and you don't want to pull on it too tightly. So, detach very simply. You can slide off your upper receiver with no problem whatsoever. Now this will allow you to swap out your barrels. If you have really fixed up your weapon and wanted an internal battery, you could work on that. But for the most part, it's a very, very simple weapon to work with and disassemble. Now we're going to test fire this weapon, but just before we do, I want to explain a little bit about the battery. Today what we've done with this XCR is we've used an internal battery of 7.4 volt. Now the problem with this is there's not a whole lot of room inside the upper receiver, so if you're going to use an internal battery, you're going to have a sticky charge rail or charge handle here, and it's going to be very difficult to move. The optimal way to use your battery is use an external on top of the upper rail. Okay. Again, this is your preference, but the optimal way to do this is use an external. But today we're going to test with an internal battery. Okay, we're ready to test fire our XCR, and what we're going to use today is the 7.4 volt battery with a mid-cap magazine and 6mm cartridges. We'll start with our semi-auto. And we'll switch out to full auto.